Get the ball in bounds. Get the ball in bounds. Get the ball in bounds. Get the freaking ball in bounds. Good morning. Riding shotgun, Tuesday, December 19th. And I'm still mumbling, get the ball in bounds, which I'm sure players and coaches and fans are all over the place, because at the most critical moments when it's important to do that, Illinois has not been able to do so, and it's cost them a couple of ball games. It was so eerily similar to the Maryland game, what happened Saturday night against New Mexico State, and maddening, and eerily similar for a couple of reasons. Not only get the ball in bounds, which they didn't do, when this time Aaron Jordan was assigned the responsibility inbounding the ball from the end line, and didn't opt to throw it to either corner where it looked like there was opportunities. Opted for kind of a jump ball lob to LeRon Black, which was swarmed and tipped away and resulted in a fast break, tie-breaking layup and foul and free throw. Really ended up being the game-winning play, although Illinois did have a chance, but I liked the Maryland game in that I kept, when I was driving out of the United Center, I kept asking myself, if forced to choose, was this game lost at the end or was it lost at the beginning? And you can say the exact same thing about the Maryland game. And you know what? It probably was lost at the beginning. But either way, if you fix one of those, poor starts or poor finishes, you probably win both of those games. You may win the Northwestern game. It's just maddening. And I know Brad Underwood is a little bit confounded by it because he's never had to deal with this. He's never had to deal with, you know, he knows how to do inbounds plays with a normal group. And I'm continue to maintain this is not a normal group. This is a group afflicted by sort of an inferiority complex that makes them believe that they're more susceptible to the big mistake than they are likely to make the big play. And somebody's got to break that spell. And I just would say to Brad Underwood, they've got to go back and assume that there is no such thing as a normal inbounds play, particularly at crunch time. They're all going to be difficult. You better come up with some foolproof design that nobody can screw up. And after they've proven they can do that a few times, then maybe you don't have to sweat that so much and you can go back to some other things. But, oh my goodness, that was really maddening the other evening. And, you know, and New Mexico State was not a bad team. Great quickness. There's no question Zach Lofton was the best player on the floor. My gosh, he can go anywhere he wants with the basketball. No wonder they think he's going to play for sure in the NBA. And you know, their big guy had some skills too. And they had some other guards. I mean, that was a decent team. You know, you can say, well, you can't lose to a WAC team. Well, you know, WAC teams make the tournament. That team won 28 games and made the tournament last year without Zach Lofton. And, you know, and Illinois is going to play another WAC team on the 30th of December against Grand Canyon, Dan Marley's team. So, it was maddening. It was maddening because if you win that game, then you feel a little bit better about things going to the Braggin Rights game this coming Saturday, December 23rd in St. Louis. And now that game looks like a real long shot. And, you know, but long shots happen in the Braggin Rights game. I think expectations will be low. The best news about that game Saturday night is we're going to be back to the kind of atmosphere that game deserves. Last year, was there 11,000 empty seats last year? I mean, it was ridiculous. And just sitting around talking to people, we're like, this is what happens right before both schools make coaching changes. And we didn't know for sure that would happen, but that's exactly what happened. Kim Anderson, out. John Gross, gone. And now that game is sold out Saturday night. It'll be back to the atmosphere it should be. The United Center game atmosphere has gone in the toilet. Embarrassing crowd Saturday night against New Mexico State. I think, what was there, 5,600 in a place that seats 20 grand? You know, I mean, but it isn't hard to figure out why. The why is that Illinois hasn't been good enough to generate that type of interest. Illinois hasn't been good enough to generate that type of relevance. They haven't been in the national rankings. We remember when they were. We remember when the opponents were Kansas and Arizona and UCLA up there. They opened up their first ever United Center game was against Duke. Those were some terrific games. They were fun to watch. People cared. People around the Chicago area that are casual college basketball fans knew that was a big game that weekend in Chicago at the United Center. They don't even know that game's going on now. And, you know, they tried to develop it as a tribute to Lou game, which was to Lou Henson game, which was nice. But that was not going to sell tickets. That was a gesture, not a marketing ploy to fill the building. And then poor Lou got an infection and was hospitalized and couldn't even show up. So the fix is just as easy. Get to be good. Get to be relevant. Get to be ranked. Get to where people say, I want to see that team play. Then you're good enough to justify upgrading the opponent. I still think the opponent should have some regional appeal when that game is at the United Center. And I've always pitched the idea of it being Butler as a reasonable one of the games in a series. You know, I've always pitched Butler as a 4-game contract where one game is played at the United Center, one game is played at the, Bankers Life now, used to be Conseco in Indy. One game is played at the State Farm Center, and one game is played at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Fans from both schools, it's close, would attend all 4 games. The hardcore fans absolutely would. And it just makes sense. Marquette is a possibility. Notre Dame's a possibility. I know a lot of people are knocking on Notre Dame's door, and they may not have the schedule flexibility to do that. Excuse me. But, you know, maybe there's another one. I would say that if DePaul got good, and they seem to be at least trending in that direction, not there yet, but that would be a good game to have there. Obviously, DePaul would draw to that game. Northwestern's an obvious one, but you play Northwestern twice in Big Ten play, and you may meet up with them again in the tournament, in the Big Ten tournament. So, you know, I don't see that unless you decide to go to a 4-team, you know, Windy City shootout kind of a game in which, and I think then you do invite Northwestern, but they're in an opposite game. You have Northwestern against DePaul or Marquette. And if you want to make it state schools, you have Northwestern against, you know, Illinois State. And you have Illinois against SIU, or Illinois against Bradley, or Illinois against Northern, or Illinois against Loyola. Loyola's looking good right now. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You have an opportunity there to draw from 4 different fan bases to fill that building. Either way, that building needs to look and feel and sound full. And it looked and felt and sounded, it looked and felt like there was 5,600 in there. I would say there were times when it sounded louder, when people made a racket. But anyhow, so Saturday night at 7 o'clock, Illinois, Missouri, at the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis. At least the building will be full. I think expectations for Illinois will be low in that game. I'll be curious to see what the line is when it is posted. And yet, you know, Illinois is capable of playing with good teams for stretches. They just haven't been capable of playing the whole way. They haven't played well at the start. They haven't played well at the finish. And that seems like a lot of work to make up. And I believe this is finals week, and the guys are in tests. So we'll see what this week brings. And then that game is Saturday the 23rd. The next day, Christmas Eve. The day after that, Christmas Day. I hope you're all going to have a great, great holiday. And it's my favorite time of the year. I love it. And we've got family plans right through the 1st of January, and lo and behold, I came back here and drove around the farm today, and it's absolutely beautiful. In fact, my dog didn't even come. She was laying out in the apron of the driveway, looking like she was sunning herself. She was just loved it out there. Just so happy to be outside and in this nice weather, and it's not cold. It was cold last Tuesday, but not cold, and we may have gotten just a half a sprinkle overnight, but nothing really. Now I'll say the part that probably get people riled up, but I would like a little snow, just a little bit, you know, an inch maybe, please. But I don't think it's going to happen. I know it's supposed to cool down this weekend, but man, it feels a long ways from winter right now, and a long ways from that little bit of snow that makes it feel a little more like Christmas. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks so much for riding along, and you know, who knows what we'll have to talk about next Tuesday. We never know. By the way, one final thing, early football signing date is tomorrow. Lovey's got a couple of commitments here lately, including a really good one on the line, and I think they hope to maybe have another one or two in time for the early signing period, and then of course the recruiting period continues a bit longer after that. So we will see. They haven't announced yet whether Lovey's going to have a media availability tomorrow. They were hoping that they might, but they were thinking, well, maybe they would do it Thursday, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do it Thursday in conjunction with Brad Underwood's press conference to preview the Braggin Rights game. So enough from here. Thanks for coming along, and have a great Christmas. We'll talk to you later.